afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this event, Defending Your Money, sponsored by the Computer Club and the NPT group, of which every resident is a member. So today, hopefully we'll get some very good, useful information. And so I'd like to start off by having Jeff Rohrer, the President of the Board of Directors, say a few words. Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff, and good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for attending this event. Today, what I want to do is just take a few minutes to address where we're at. I'm sure everybody's heard the stuff going around about the status of where we're at with reserve funding. Just so everybody knows, NORA, Nevada Real Estate Division, requires us to every 5 years get a new reserve study adopted. We received one this March 15th to be exact. And the forecast is at the beginning of this fiscal year, which will start July 1, we will be approximately 44% funded for our reserves. Our target in the past has been 70%, just to kind of set a table for everybody to understand. So what we did in looking at that, we contacted 3 separate law firms that are very well versed in how communities like this should be handled. And the consensus amongst those 3 groups of attorneys were you should get to 70% funding, and you should be there by the time you receive your next reserve study in the spring of 2029. So with that, and looking at that, I have to determine ways to best get funds to put in our reserve fund. And really right now there's 4 vehicles that can be used to drive the reserve fund. 1 is investment income, 2 is your annual assessment, 3rd is NORA, and 4th, if ever needed, is a special assessment. Now, how we came up with this, and I know you all have it right up there for the NORA increase to $5,000. We selected to tackle NORA and the $5,000 amount. I'll hit the $5,000 amount first. First, we went out and looked at a lot of communities in the valley to see where their NORA fees, where they were, if they had any, but also, more importantly, to look at their amenities compared to what we have here in Sun City. No community in the valley has the amenities we have, 0. The closest one that compares to us is Sun City Brand down in Arizona. They have roughly about the same types of amenities. And also, Sun City Brand's NORA fee is $5,000, and it has been for a while. And contrary to some of the rumors you may hear too, according to Sun City Brand, this has not only increased their home sales and their property values, and it's mainly because people realize that money is being invested back into the community to keep your community in great shape. The other reason we chose to use NORA to start to raise money for the reserves is this has the least impact on our current owners here. If we have to increase your annual assessment every year to get us whole by 2029, it's going to keep going up and up and up, and it impacts every owner that day. Special assessments likewise, if they are incurred, those happen that day. So NORA only impacts anybody when they sell their home, and the buyer is encouraged to pay that as an investment into the community. I think NORA, and I also think people need to look at it. Right now it's $1,900 and change, I think $1,913. So it's going up to $5,000 if we get it approved. I think people need to look at this as it's really right-sizing NORA. I don't know how long everybody's lived here, but NORA was first instituted in this community back around the 2006 time frame. The problem with NORA when it was instituted was twofold. It had no inflation clause in it, so it was just going to stay where it was. And it also only went up related to how much your annual assessment was going towards NORA. So on an annual assessment, 1 year if you get it, and you'll see there's 3 things in your annual assessment, new capital, reserves, and operating expense. So every year if you look at your budget, if say your annual assessment included $10, per month to go, that's how much NORA went up that year. That's it. It went up by the amount of however your assessment went. So on years when the board elected not to increase your annual assessment, no money was contributed to NORA. I'm sure there's some of you that lived here before and enjoyed that. When I first moved in 2015, for 3 years in a row, the assessment stayed at 107. That meant for 3 years in a row, no money was contributed to reserves. So I think also, because it did not contain an inflation clause, if you took back and went back to 2006, started at where it was then, which was around 1,200, and applied all the inflation to today, you'd be right around $5,000. So I really look at it as right-sizing NORA. So I think that's what we're here to urge everybody to please vote for this. I think overall, if any of you have had a chance to read my president's message in length this month, I think there's some confusion about there, but what I put in there was, if NORA does not get approved, it's going to cost you $16 and change a month. And that's forever, and it's not. Somebody said, does that mean it's only going to go up next year by $16? No, that means in addition to whatever your annual assessment's increased to, it will be an additional $16 a month. So that's the pitch for NORA, and I can take a few questions. I know I'm on a short leash. They told me I had 5 minutes, so yes.
Just wanted to know when the voting would be starting, about when.
We are hoping to have the ballots out to everybody by May 15th. Unlike the elections for board of directors, there's no timeline on this. Those of you that were around when they had to get approval to put a fire department in, it took 8 months to get the necessary votes to put in the fire department. We're hoping this doesn't take that long. The sooner we can start to generate this extra revenue for reserves, the better. And by the way, I want to let everybody know, if this gets improved, it will, over the next 4 years, once we start collecting, generate $7 million into the reserves, based on our number of homes sold per year. We also have a task force, I forgot to mention, that has been put together to develop a plan for 4 years going forward to say, hey, here's what we need to do to get there. And NORA income is one of the variables. Right now, if we don't approve NORA, they could say, oh, we've got $4 million in revenue coming in from NORA, as opposed to $11 million. It'd be nice to let them know they have that other $7 million to deal with. Any other questions? Yes?
Hi, just wondering, if you had to do or chose to do just a one-time special assessment, what do you think that amount would have been?
I think in mid-March I put out a number that was a little high, I think, once we got to it. But I would guess if we had to do a one-time special assessment, I can't give you an exact number. My gut says it'd be $2,500 to $3,500. And I've had some residents say they'd rather yank off the Band-Aid and pay that, but I think we've elected to go with the NORA approach to it has no impact on current owners until they sell their house. Any others? Yes?
Will we have the option to vote online, just if we get Mitzi's email blast?
I don't think so. I think you'll have to turn in the paper ballot, and there will be collection boxes all over. There will be a collection box down at admin as usual. There will be a collection box at the golf courses. I think maybe the fitness centers will have collection boxes. But the sooner we can get, and so people understand, again, I want to reiterate, it's 2/3 the households. There's 7,781 homes here. We need 5,214 yes votes. So it's not 2/3 of who votes. It's of the households.
So if you have 2 people in one house, it's one vote?
It's one vote per household. Yes?
Yes. Will we have a special assessment then?
That is what we went to the task force for, is the task force will determine, and if we can let them know that, hey, this passed, you've got this extra revenue coming in, so now you count on it. But the task force plans to come up with a plan to deliver to the board within the next 6 months, saying, hey, here's how we can get to 70% funded by June 30th, 2029. Our recommendation is, you got NORA done, we take an annual assessment increase of X amount per year to be devoted to the reserves, or they may say that they will also consider special assessment. they'll consider all the alternatives available to them, special assessment, annual assessment, and that such. So I can't answer whether there'll be one or not. Yes?
A couple minutes ago, you said it doesn't affect you until you sell your house. But I thought you said NORA was the buyer.
Yeah, the NORA, most of the time, I know when I bought my house, I had to pay the NORA. So what I'm saying is it will have no impact until you sell your house. The main reason for that is NORA is a negotiable thing when you're closing escrow. I didn't even know about it until I sat down with the escrow officer and I said, what's this NORA? Back then it's $1,200. I said, okay, great, here's my check. I walked away.
The seller,
Yes.
how did they get involved?
The seller would only get involved as if somebody was coming to buy your house and they said, hey, I see this NORA on here of X amount. How about we split it 50-50? It's just like it's a negotiable piece.
Over here, Jim.
Yes.
Yes, if NORA $5 is passed, is that when the inflation adjusted over the coming years?
Yes, that is one correction we made in this amendment. As I explained, the original NORA had no inflation factor in it. No, this new NORA will go up annually based off the cost of inflation, services, and all goods and services, which includes gasoline. And I think people can understand gasoline is really impacted and was part of the driving force. Our cost of goods in this community went up substantially over the last 3 years, and the driving force of that was gas prices because the vendors aren't going to eat their freight cost. It gets passed on to us.
Thanks, John.
Any others? Okay, we're good to go.
About this value.
Is the flag free?
Hi, I'm Mary Fairhurst. I'm president of the Neighborhood Preparedness Team. So for those of you who don't know what NPT is, that's what we are, Neighborhood Preparedness Team. And last week, I got this call